other minor lines as well. Now, these buses will go everywhere. I mean, they cover the whole country. And especially when you have to pay for it yourself like I did, you're cheap. So it's very easy to get around by public transportation. Along the coastline, particularly, the train service is fantastic. They are actually building ones that are a little bit more inland that work. You can get inland. Like, for instance, you can get from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem by train, but takes a little bit longer than the bus, actually. But they're working on lines for that. The train system is really great. And you have to keep in mind, if somebody wants to rent a car, if they can drive in Europe and they're handling the steering wheel being on the other side, they can do it in Israel. The only thing you want to keep in mind, though, is that you have to stay within Israel with the rent-a-car. Even the West Bank, you can't go into the West Bank with the rent-a-car. But it really normally doesn't cause any problems.
Are there any parts of Israel where tourists shouldn't visit?
You probably don't want to go. The only one area where they advise you not to go right to is the area around Gaza. But even just a few, but when I say, they just say don't visit Gaza. However, you have to understand that visiting the West Bank, it's as easy as just going through a checkpoint. Most people who go over there, especially if you're going to a trip to Jerusalem, you will also go into the West Bank. People want to see Bethlehem. They want to see Jericho. And there are some beautiful areas in the West Bank to visit. And that happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And getting between the two is a lot easier than people actually realize it is. And we encourage it, please. I mean, visit the whole area because it is rich in history, but it's just Gaza. And there's really nothing that historical around Gaza anyway.
Okay, right. So it's pretty much anywhere you can really go to, and
yeah, pretty much everywhere. Absolutely.
I imagine that Jerusalem is a hot, crowded, and noisy city. Is this the case?
Well, if you visit on Easter Sunday, you better believe it. During the major religious festivals, and you have to keep in mind, and this is important to remember, that you've not only got the big Christian holidays, you've got the Jewish holidays, and you've also got the Muslim holidays that get affected by Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. If you go that peak time, yes, my goodness, it is crowded. Easter is the images that you can see of people going through Jerusalem on Easter, because they do the whole walking of the Via Dolorosa, which is the 14 stations of the cross. It can be crowded then. It does tend to get crowded like at the weekends because it's amazing. People from all over the world can come there for there's a lot of countries that can go there for a weekend visit. During the week, it's actually a little bit more chilled out. I mean, I've gone through and done tours of Jerusalem myself during mm-hmm. the week, where it's just been very easy to go through everything. But you do have certain peak periods. But there's always places that you can get away from something. The old city is, it is one of the most fascinating places you ever wanted to visit. Even though the main areas can be very crowded when it's peak times, you can always find little alleys and things like that make it a lot easier to get around. But Jerusalem is very popular. In fact, it's probably, it kind of shocked us that it's actually a little bit more popular than Tel Aviv is. Tel Aviv is like party capital, mm-hmm. and Jerusalem is bucket list. So you do get a lot of people. But no, it's very easy. If you were there for a few days, you'd have at least a day, apart from major holidays, that it's quite natural and easy to walk around.
Okay. I don't do crowds, but so that'd be good.
Do you want to know what? Mm-hmm. Neither do I. I can remember literally one day, and this kind of shows you as well. I got to tell you this one, because we were actually there on a tour, and it was on a Friday, which was crazy. I will admit that. One of the times I was there, and we were actually walking against all the in the Muslim sector, all the people going to prayer, and that is a really good way to describe it, because you would expect that you'd feel a little bit on the uncomfortable side, mm-hmm. but You didn't. It was just crowded, and we were going the opposite direction to everybody going to prayer, and it was very crowded. But you didn't feel bad, you know. That's the best way to describe it. I mean, I'm like you. I don't like big crowds, and even I didn't panic or do anything. It was just kind of funny that everybody was going in one direction, and you had this group of people going in the other.
Now that sounds like me going the wrong way.
Yeah, but you can. There's easy to find. You don't have to deal with the crowds if you don't want to.
Okay. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. You've already said that Tel Aviv is the party place, but how does that?
Oh yeah.
How does it compare to other international cities? If you could describe Tel Aviv to somebody who's never been, which international city would you use?
Now, I would probably. It's a mixture of New York and Miami.
Mm-hmm.
It gets the Miami reference because it's got a lot of similar aspects that Miami does, as the fact that it's got wonderful beaches. I mean, absolutely gorgeous beaches. The Tel Aviv beaches, when the first time I saw them, I swear to you, my jaw dropped because they're wide, they're deep, beautiful sand, and they're maintained, and they're clean. It's unbelievable that way. But it's got unbelievable nightlife. 24-hour day city. So that's why it's sort of like a New York a lot, because it is always going.
Mm-hmm.
The clubs, like in a lot of places, they only start heating up like about midnight. Restaurants, they stay open all night. I mean, if you wake up at 2 a.m. and say, do you want to know I'm thirsty, I feel like a beer, I feel like a coffee, anything, I'm hungry, I want a snack, you can go out and you're walking around, because Tel Aviv, it just never dies down. There's always people out. There's always activity. So it's great like that. But you have to keep in mind, it hits more New York because there's a lot of culture there as well. You've got opera and symphony and theater and beautiful museums. Art museums are particularly, you've got some wonderful art museums there. And, but with the Miami, it's kind of the feel. It's a very liberal city as well. It's kind of a, do what you like, don't hurt anyone, and you're fine. It's also, Tel Aviv, what shocked me as well before I started working there was I found out Tel Aviv really is the gay capital of the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
Because it is, first of all, Israel is the only country in the Middle East where being homosexual is not illegal. In fact, gay rights are probably way ahead of a lot of countries. And there is a huge, huge gay pride festival every June in Tel Aviv. And when you go over there, even if you're not over there for the gay pride, you will always come across rainbow flags. It is very, very gay friendly.
Mm-hmm. I've been told that as a vegan, Israel is one of the best countries for me to visit for food. What is the food like, and are there any national or regional dishes? And if you're not as fussy as me, what's the best thing to eat? Lots of questions.
Now, don't laugh. This sounds like I've been watching Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know something?
Yep.
All the Israelis before I went over there were telling me how hummus over in the UK just really, they don't get it. And until you taste Israeli hummus, you don't realize what you're missing. But it is more than hummus. Now, you have to understand how Israel was created. People, when Israel was founded, they came from all over the world to settle there. And when they came with their regional way of cooking. So Israel is just a gastronomical paradise. You've got all these different foods that are fused from all over the world. And probably what makes Israel that really special is the freshness of the fruits and vegetables. Because most of the stuff, it's in the restaurant when you're eating it, is just been picked, a day or two before. Everything is fresh because they're so up on their agricultural techniques to the point where they teach people from all over the world, great sustainable ways of doing farming. But the produce is just incredible. And I tell you, you have not had breakfast until you've had an Israeli breakfast. Most hotels will have this unbelievably incredible spread of all these different sorts of foods, everything from salads to eggs, the whole bit. Now, vegan, you will find that there's a lot of meat in the restaurants. However, you'll always have something on the menu that you can eat. And the quality of all the fresh fruit and vegetables will just blow your mind. It is wonderful.
I'm hungry now.
Trust me, I haven't eaten yet too, and I'm going to probably be going to get something and being very disappointed because you got me talking about Israeli breakfasts, which are something to behold. They seriously are.
You mentioned don't mess with the Zohan, and there's a drink in that, fizzy boobala. Is that how you say it? Does that actually exist?
It's fizzy boobala. There is no such thing as fizzy boobala, and I was really disappointed.
No, there's not.
I was looking for it like an idiot because I actually saw the film before I went over there for the first time, and no fizzy boobala. But there's a lot of like very regional beverages that you can drink, and if we're going to talk about drink, you have to mention the fact that Israeli wine. Oh my goodness! First of all, there are hundreds of wineries in Israel. It is becoming a very easy way for people to take all that agricultural knowledge, and the regions all over the country are good for different wines. And 10 years ago, it was just starting out, and now it's getting very established, and the Israeli wineries are winning awards. And until I started working at the tourist board, I would never drink red wine, and I got completely converted to the Israeli red because it is incredible, very flavorful. So actually, you can do wine tours over there quite easily, and amazing to be able to taste everything. It is fantastic. And it's not only that, but they've also got breweries, big breweries, microbreweries, the whole thing. So I mean, in Jerusalem and also Tel Aviv, but Jerusalem is the one I remember because it happens in August. There's the Jerusalem Beer Festival. It takes place in Independence Park. It's over a weekend and over 100 different breweries. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, that's something else I didn't think about as well. So wine tours.
Although it's really funny because Jerusalem's very hilly. I don't know if I'd really want to visit the beer festival and try to walk home. I can't imagine some of the hills around, especially around Independence Park, that you're going, uh-oh, the world's spinning because there's a couple really steep ones.
You have to pace yourself and plan it properly then, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. But man, would I love the opportunity to try.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, I'm checking in for my flight.
Lovely. Business or pleasure?
Holiday.
And where will you be staying?
With my parents, they live over there.
Lovely. Travel insurance?
Oh, no thanks.
Have you got travel insurance?
No.
Checked to see if you need any vaccinations?
No.
Checked out the local laws?
No, look. Why do I need to know all this? I'm just staying with my parents.
Is either of your parents A local lawyer, or the chief of police, B, fabulously wealthy, C, the owner of a private plane with its own fully trained medical staff, or D, none of the above?
D?
Lovely. Are you a superhero and in fact immortal?
Things can go wrong on holiday abroad, even if you're staying with family. So check it out before you check in. Find out more at gov.uk/knowbeforeyougo.
You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. It's an Israel special on this week's travel show on UK Health Radio. My guest is Michelle Roberts. She's from the Israeli Tourist Board in London. And yes, we're talking about Israel. Funny that, isn't it? But anyway, let's find out more, and we're going to start off talking about kibbutzes. One of the words I hear about with Israel is kibbutz. What is one? And
kibbutz.
Are they still around?
Yes, kibbutz are still alive and kicking. You still have agricultural kibbutzes. You can still volunteer on kibbutzes. But it's not just agriculture anymore. You will find that there are kibbutzes for everything. Like you will have, there's a lot of kibbutzes that are actually hotels. They still have the normal kibbutz, but they will have a hotel section. You've got kibbutzes that are just hotels, like Ramat Rochelle Hotel in Jerusalem. That is a kibbutz. Everybody who works there and runs the place, and it's a beautiful property, and it probably has one of the most spectacular views of Jerusalem from the top of there. But that's a kibbutz. everybody lives there. Everybody promotes it. It's one big happy family, and it's very popular.